Hiya, Rick Paul, spiritual medium, psychic, thought thinker, and any other label that I can think of today as I'm starting this recording. Welcome if you've chosen to watch this particular production. So this is the first day of getting into producing more stuff, regular content, and what I've done is let my adventurous mind take off on flights of fantasy and see what I can come up with. I'll outline what I'm actually on here for. Again, I'm advertising my spiritual business where I do readings and guidance and things like that. But where my real heart is helping people to understand what I call the mind treacle, dealing with those intrusive thoughts and learning how you actually process your thought patterns. And being an alternate thought thinker, what I like to do is sort of step into your world for a while and help you process. As I've said on previous videos, I believe that I have got ADHD, which currently is undiagnosed, but rather than seeing it as a problem, what I'm learning to do is to see it as more of a superpower. But that gives me opportunities to look at things from a different angle. Now, I don't know about you guys out here that are watching. There'll be a few people out here that will just sit here going, what the F is this guy talking about? And then there'll be other people out there that will look at me and go, I get exactly what he's saying. Right. So let's put some context into the situation. In the background is the entrance to the Thought nightclub. And the conditions of entry are that it's got to be positive, it's got to be uplifting, it has got to be something there that will help me go forward. So I am your amiable spiritual bouncer as I stand outside and I guard your nightclub. Now, the process of thought thinking, right? I don't know how people that I would consider normal in inverted commas, how many thoughts that they would think in a given moment. Let's say a half-hour period. Mine is just multiple thoughts just merging into one another, and they are intrusive, they are difficult. Sometimes there's pleasant memories in there, and sometimes you just got to sift through it. So in my role as spiritual counselor, guide, reader, and the things that I do at the shows that I've done over the last few years, I sit down and people have got a backstory to tell me, and I listen patiently, I listen carefully to see whatever their story is. And essentially we come down to what's ailing them, what they're struggling to cope with. And I am not a qualified counsellor in this way. This is just the way that I process my thoughts when I hear people's stories. And yesterday I was told yet again that I'm a good storyteller, so I thought I'd do it in an imaginative way and produce it on this short video. The thing about thoughts, when you have a thought and you process the thought and you put your emotions in, remember right at the beginning that nobody can make you feel in any way, shape or form. It's the way that you react to the stimulus that's going on around you. So when I sit with a client, I will tell them that I'm not to everybody's taste. The title of this video is Spiritual Bleach, Thought Bouncers, and the F-it Bucket. So those of you with an imagination can imagine what the F-it stands for. Now, the reason that I put this about the spiritual bleach. Now, spiritual bleach, so if you any name bleach whatsoever, it can be your cheapest household one. It can be an expensive brand that I won't talk about, but you get the gist. On the side of the bottle is a mark with a cross that says, caution, may contain irritant. And at times, that is my role when I'm working with clients. It's not to argue with them or prove them wrong, but what I'm looking at doing is gaining a response from them. Because if you can get people to change the state of behavior, then you can also alter the direction in which the thoughts go. So the next few videos that I'm going to do on here are going to be testimonial type of things where I'm going to change slight details on there, but all of these clients are experiences that I've had over the last, at this point, over the last 7 years that I've been traveling around the country doing my readings and guidance. So the bleach comment came in at the weekend where I said, what I'm doing is that I'm deliberately pushing your buttons to see what response we get. And instantly what I got was this, which is quite a defensive body posture. So I can then ask the question then, now, do you want to proceed with this? Do you want the answers to the problems that you presented, or would you rather keep them in? And this starts to break down the defensive shield. So the problem presented was anxiety. The problem presented was depression and a dark feeling. So I asked the client to consider this, right? Our thoughts and the impact of our thoughts can be broken down. We can then start to look through the results that we get from the thoughts that we think and what we want from them. So we want we can get 2 positive results from thought thinking. And then we've got 1 that we can't do anything about or influence, and that goes it somewhere else. So essentially, what we're looking for in all our interactions with life is a better feeling. And I will demonstrate that by mentioning the fact that if we're hungry, we eat. We then satisfy the appetite, better feeling. If we're tired, we go to bed, we wake up rested, better feeling. If we're looking to go on holiday, and because we're tired and jaded, we go on holiday, we come back rested, a better feeling, and so on and so forth. So that is worth remembering, right? Anything that's connected around that gives us a better feeling, you know, your interaction with your kids, hopefully, you know, that it's all great, your relationships and things like that, when they're all running well, anything that gives you a better feeling, we want to do more of that. So that's number 1 that we want to remember. Now, where is this thought going to end up? The destination is going to be in the subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind is that thing that doesn't check for reference. It doesn't distinguish between right or wrong. It records all bits of evidence. So when the thoughts go in there, we've got pleasant feelings. So when we have that pleasant memory, we can look back on that, press play, and it comes to the fore, and we feel that feelings again. Now, here's another thing that I feel that can go in that place as well, is when we've experienced an experience that hasn't been pleasant, but we maybe should have seen it coming further back than what we actually did, there's a lesson in there. So the lesson, if learnt at an early enough time, will prevent us feeling pain and being knocked down. You know, being laid out, being depressed, being anxious. So that's always worth programming and remembering and going into the subconscious mind. So what we're left with after that is whatever's left of the thought that we've thought about. So we put away all of the good stuff. We've put away all of the lessons. Now what we've got left is the rubbish. The more negative feelings, the darker feelings, the anxiety, all of the rest of that sort of thing that goes with it. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not a continuous mardy arse or depressive or anything like that. I just cycle with moods. So if I've got something there that I've got as a result of a thought that I've thought about and at length, and it's become intrusive, what am I going to do with it? Well, I'm going to split it down again. I'm going to have a look. Can it go anywhere that gives me a purpose? If the answer's no, right, I'm holding on to it. If the answer is that I can't really influence it, I can't really change the outcome, then why am I still thinking and putting my energy into thinking that thought? So it goes into the F it bucket, right? Because I don't want to think that thought anymore. I can't alter it. I can't change it. So that's my point of acceptance. So what in that bin, in that bucket, goes all of the rubbish, all of the crap thoughts that I've got going on around me that I can't influence, that I don't want back. So then we go further on than that, and we imagine, well, everybody will say, well, it's easier said than done sometimes. You know, the thoughts that I think are intrusive and this, that, and the other. And it's all right you saying that, but that's the way I've always been. Okay. So I'll throw another scenario at you. Imagine you come to my nightclub, right? And I call my inner critic the narrator. So the narrator starts telling me a story. Now, it's up to me whether I listen to the story or not, but my narrator at times can be really negative in tone. So he'll be telling me that there's something that I've done wrong, something I'm not good enough at, something that I could do with improving on, how I've let people down, all the imposter syndrome, all of the rest of that rubbish that goes with it. Now, to give you a bit of a background with me, when I was younger, I used to like to go out and have a few falling down waters and have a good drink. And I used to try and get into the nightclubs, you know, usually last knockings to try and get through the door. And the test was you had to convince them that you was reasonably sober and that you wasn't going to cause any trouble. This is where the thought thing comes in. This is where the influence for this broadcast came in. Now, I would say 9 times out of 10 that if I'd had far too much to drink, the bouncers would be wise enough to say that it's not sensible for me to come in here, and they'd send me on my way. So I started to think about my thoughts now as I've got older, because I no longer drink or go out anymore. So imagine that to get into your psyche, into your safe space, into your nightclub of thoughts, up pops negative Nelly, sinful, whatever, you know, whatever the darkness is, and says, I'd like to come in and I'd like to be part of your thought process. Right. There I am as the bouncer stood at the door there, and I say, right, so what are your qualifications for getting in? Oh, well, you should know by now because you've always done this. Right. You need to stop and you need to listen to me, right? Because I'm in charge. I'm on the doors here. And the key to getting in here is positivity and upliftment, or maybe teach me a lesson. So because I'm a nice guy, I'm going to give you another opportunity to explain why you should come in here. Well, you've been can you remember how you let people down and that you've fallen flat on your face and you never amount to much because of your upbringing? Right, let me just stop you there because this isn't going well. Right, and you ask it a 3rd time. Right, and I can pretty much guarantee if it goes anything like my thought process that it hasn't got anything. It's got nothing there because you've put up those boundaries and you've said, I'm only working with positivity. So I don't let the negative thoughts come in there because they're not going to serve me any benefit. How do I achieve this? Well, this is consistency. It is practice. There are days where it goes wrong because I get flattened and leveled out. But as you will find as I do more and more of these videos, all of these stories come out of my head. They're experiences that I've had, how I've coped with my mindset, how I've dealt with the more difficult stages in my life that have included depressions, anxieties, attempts at taking my life, various things like that. And what I'm looking to do here is not be the big I am, is to just help people along the way that if you're an alternative thought thinker, put yourself first. Right? Think about yourself in the most positive terms. Do not allow other people's opinions of you, allow that to affect you from living your best possible life. So I'm not a really wildly intelligent man. So I'm stood here at the entrance to your nightclub there of upliftment and light and the potential possibilities. Right. Put yourself in charge of your own nightclub and don't let anybody in that's going to cause any trouble. So as usual with me, my little productions, it's just my thoughts. It's just designed to bring in a little bit of upliftment, a little bit of a smile there. If you can share your own tips on how you manage your own thoughts, please put them in the comments. If you think that any of this would benefit anybody else, please like and subscribe to my channel. And as I always say, with anybody that comes and looks at this, thank you. And I really appreciate your time and effort. See you on the next one. Thank you.